231 BCE. The Carthaginian cavalry slammed into the Roman skirmishers. Velites scattered beneath the charge as legionaries scrambled into position, shields locking together while officers barked desperate orders over the chaos. Ahead, the banners of Carthage advanced. Behind them, the city itself stood defiant. Years of planning, thousands of lives, 4 Roman legions. Everything had led to this moment. If Rome failed here, the greatest gamble in her history would collapse before the gates of Carthage. But if she prevailed, the heart of an empire would be pierced. This is the fate of Rome. Episode 4. The Poisoned Arrow. 239 BCE. Carthage was unlike any enemy Rome had yet faced. This was no northern tribe to be subdued, nor a regional rival to be swept aside. Carthage possessed wealth beyond Rome's imagination, fleets that dominated the Western Mediterranean, and centuries of experience in war. A single mistake could undo everything Rome had built. Yet Rome had never been stronger. The campaigns against the Veneti had begun to bear fruit. Prosperity returned to the Republic, and with it came the means to raise a 4th legion in Alalia. The gains of conquest would be protected, even as Rome prepared for its most dangerous undertaking. The war plan was ambitious. Legio I would seize Karalis, securing a foothold from which Carthage itself could be threatened. Legio II would march south, standing ready to shield Rome from retaliation while supporting the wider offensive. Legio III would carry the war across the sea, striking directly toward Africa. Rome would not bludgeon its enemy into submission. Like a poisoned arrow, she would pierce the heart of the Carthaginian Empire through a single decisive thrust. And Rome would not stand alone. Syracuse, already at war with Carthage, entered into a defensive alliance with the Republic. Old neighbours became valuable allies, united against a common foe. The arrow had been forged. Now it needed only to be knocked. It is war. The plan was set into motion. Legio I marched toward Karalis, Legio II advanced southward, guarding against the dangers Rome knew would surely come. Legio III entered the Tyrrhenian Sea. The first movements had begun. 238 BCE. The Phoenician wanderers appeared poised to strike Neapolis. Legio III raced southward but could not arrive in time. Fortunately, the threat proved less formidable than feared. The enemy stopped just short of launching their assault. Rome could not afford such hesitation. Legio IV expanded further, and with Karalis still unreinforced, apart from the local garrison, the assault commenced. The first battle of the Punic Wars had begun. Roman forces attacked the city from 2 directions. The walls were formidable, the defenders determined. And it was clear from the outset that victory would demand blood. Velites loosed volleys into the defenders above, as Hastati began the treacherous climb toward the battlements. Principes followed close behind, their presence essential if the assault was to succeed. Slowly, the Romans gained a foothold, then another, until the walls belonged to them. The Carthaginian garrison withdrew deeper into the city. Scattered Roman formations regrouped within the streets and converged upon their cornered foe. The defenders fought bravely to the last, but bravery alone could not save them. Rome had landed the first blow. Karalis had fallen. The arrow was knocked. (237 BCE). Disaster struck. Disease swept through Legio II. Rome's carefully crafted strategy suddenly rested upon fewer men than intended. For the first time, the poisoned arrow threatened to splinter before it ever left the bow. but necessity breeds adaptation. Legio II remained behind to recover and defend Roman territory. Legio IV would, in its stead, assume a greater role in the coming offensive. Meanwhile, Legio I replenished its losses in Karalis, and Legio III pressed onward toward the sea. Then came something unexpected. Diplomats from Carthage arrived in search of peace. Perhaps they recognized the danger now looming over them. Perhaps they merely sought time. Whatever their motives, Rome refused. The bow had already begun to draw, and the Republic had no intention of lowering its aim. 236 BCE. Legio I sailed south. Legio III continued toward Africa. Even as Roman fleets encountered resistance at sea, the offensive pressed forward. Syracuse soon called upon Rome to honor its alliance against Libya, Carthage's ally. It was a dangerous proposition. War on two fronts had ruined many ambitious powers before. Yet Rome accepted. Duty to her allies came first, and perhaps, beneath Rome's confidence, the first traces of hubris had begun to emerge. Libya offered peace, and Rome refused. 234 BCE. As preparations continued, Syracuse proposed an even deeper commitment. The defensive alliance became a military one. Rome accepted gladly. 233 BCE. The bowstring tightened. The arrow was released. The siege of Carthage had begun. By 232, reinforcements arrived. Legio III by sea, Legio IV by land. Everything moved according to plan. Now all that remained was for the arrow to remain true and strike its unfortunate target. 231 BCE. By now, victory seemed inevitable. Even Carthage sought peace once more. But an arrow once loosed cannot be recalled. The answer remained unchanged. No. Desperate to break Roman momentum, Carthaginian naval forces struck against Legio III. Roman legionaries boarded the enemy vessels. The fighting was fierce but brief. The sea belonged to Rome. Then the city itself answered. The garrison of Carthage marched forth to break the siege. The decisive battle had arrived. Carthaginian cavalry crashed into the velites before the Roman line had fully formed. The battered skirmishers withdrew as Hastati surged forward to stabilize the front. Even amid the chaos, Roman discipline endured. The remaining velites softened the enemy advance, while cavalry maneuvered along the flanks. The Carthaginian horsemen broke first. Roman cavalry exploited the weakness mercilessly. One enemy formation after another faltered. Then the melee began in earnest. Steel met steel. The superiority of the Roman legions gradually revealed itself. Principes triumphed upon the flanks. The enemy line buckled, then collapsed. Encircled and overwhelmed, the remaining Carthaginian forces were destroyed. Against plague, against uncertainty, against an enemy many feared to challenge. Rome's poisoned arrow had struck true. The heart of Carthage had been pierced. And now, with a foothold in Africa secured, 4 Roman legions stood ready to unleash devastation upon a wounded enemy. The Punic Wars had only just begun.